Other questions? Yeah, go ahead. Who's your question to?
This is for Dr. Failure. So the question has to do with, if you think about it historically, it was very expensive, as I understand, to have one piece of papyrus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So today we have billionaires buying newspapers, having think tanks, etc. How do you think there was actually an effect there that, because it was so expensive to write one page, that the character of the writings were actually done by effectively ancient billionaires?
Yes. And also the people writing these are highly educated. Even Mark, which is written in a low dialect, but that's like Mark Twain being written, or writing, Huckleberry Finn. Mm-hmm. It's deliberate. It's not I used to think this. I used to think he was some hick or whatever, but once I learned how ancient education worked, it's impossible. Like, and the construction, once I learned the construction of Mark, how literarily brilliant it is, this guy's super educated and understands like high level Greek composition. He's just choosing to write in a low dialect because that's their audience. And that's part of the gospel itself, is the least shall be first, right? So like, let's make this look humble and low, and then hit them with these ideas that we want them to believe. This is how we're going to influence them, and not make it look like highfalutin rhetoric, because that's the stuff that people hate and think is not reliable. It comes from the corrupt elite, right? So they want to make it look like common person's communication. So anyway, yeah. What was the question again?
Just the character of
so expensive. So like a book. Well, see, like a gospel's not that expensive. That gospel might run you like $1,000 in equivalent money. If you do a one-to-one comparison, dollar for dollar, based on the minimum wage today and the minimum wage then, a gospel would run you about $1,000 to get a copy made. A full book, like a whole New Testament, that'd be like 10, 20 grand. So you think and that's just one unit, or just one copy. Not to commission it to be written, but I mean to actually create a physical version that you can hand to someone. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to disseminate 100 of these, that's a lot of freaking money. Who's ponying this up, right? Now, on the other side of that, we do know there's a lot of experts who've looked at this. The quality of scribal work in the New Testament manuscripts only starts to resemble professional scribal houses in the 3rd century A.D., and only a little bit. And it's only by the 4th century that you get really professional scribal work. Before that, it looks like these are unprofessional scribes. They're making lots of mistakes, dialectical mistakes, spelling mistakes, and all kinds of things. So that they obviously were doing it on the cheap, as it were. But even for them, on the cheap is still out of the range of your average person. Like, these are not shepherds and farmers publishing these books. So that's the thing. You're right. I don't know about billionaire might be excessive, but certainly there's wealthy elites driving this from above. And when you get that realization, and you see it a little bit in Paul, like Paul's super erudite, super educated. This guy is not just some pauper walking around. Like, he's got some backstory and some influence in social station. Even already in Paul, and you can see that. So there was this elite basically running things. Keith Hopkins did a whole article on this, where we have to take that into account. Like, there clearly was an elite structure running this scam or cult, whatever you want to call it, and we have to take that into consideration when we try to interpret the evidence. It wasn't just this ground up, popular uprising. It wasn't just run by farmers and yokels. It was there were elites basically trying to cull these people up into a movement.